Hey, it's Anna the Crazy Geek Crafter. I'm back with part 2 of the one set free cards series, and I'm moving on to making a confirmation card. I'm gonna quickly grab a piece of Bristol paper and the macaroon stamp and get stamping. Um, I measured the height of the macaroon and estimated I was gonna need, well, at least 7 macaroons to fit the design I was thinking of for my card. And I put this little piece of blue tape where the stamp ends, or at the top of the stamp, making it easier to restamp it without having to measure it single time. And I'm gonna keep it with some light colors. This is perfect when you're working with macaroons. In this case, I am using this purple color with some Wink of Stella for the actual macaroon, and there's going to be a chocolate filling. Well, this is, at least from my point of view, pretty self-explanatory, so I'll leave you with Beethoven and be back when the macaroons are all colored in. One small note on coloring here. I darkened the color of the chocolate filling quite a few times to get the really deep color, since I'm blending it out with water. It gets quite diluted. I'm very, very careful when I'm working here so I don't discolor my macaroons. But layer up the color and you should get that dark chocolatey color with your sticks. Last step for the macaroons is to be cut out and lined around the edges with the Memento marker to hide the core of the paper. And now I'm gonna make the dress from this doily. I found a few guides for doing it on Pinterest, and then you just make the top of the dress out of a piece of cardstock. I just drew in an easy shape, and I saw there were some templates on Pinterest, even for free, but I just hand drew it. It wasn't. There was no need for it to be very, very complicated. So just gonna glue this together, and then the dress is almost done. I unfortunately didn't record the part where I put a piece of ribbon on it to hide the seam. Now I'm gonna do the background of the card though. It's with the same color of stick as I used before, the 081. I'm trying out a few approaches to making this background. I don't do this kind of thing that often, so this is quite the trial and error process. So I took out this piece of copy paper, I laminated. I use it for a palette when I do distress inks, and this was just not going fast enough. So I ended up just dumping the color on the watercolor paper here. This is Rangers color paper, watercolor paper. Oh my god, this gnome is really after me. There's a legend of a gnome that sits on your tongue and then exchanges the words that you're trying to say with something ridiculous. I feel like I have a gnome today. I am trying the cardstock in between applying the color. I do this quite a few times to get as dark a color as I desired. That's the word. I will also add a bit of splatters with some Nuvo mousse, which has been dissolved in water. I have it in this little spray bottle for convenience. And I also do the sig without the water from the see, I'm telling you, there's a gnome sitting on my tongue. Here's the gold. It's not that visible on the card. It's just a little bit of an accent in the background. But it gives it a little something, I think. I do bring out a brush to get some more splatters. Now it just has to dry. And in the meantime, I will make the sentiment. This die is from Gummiapan. It's a Swedish firm. It says congratulations in Danish. And I'm gonna cover this piece of cardstock with the Nuvo mousse, since I don't have any gold paper. And it takes longer than I expected to cover this piece for some odd reason. I'm gonna cut out the dye from the gold and then a few times from the white, so that it gets a bit of a height to it next to the other elements on the card. Finally finished, and it had some time to dry on the side. I went and did something else in the meantime, and then I cut out, I think, 2 whites and then the gold one here. I have this little box to keep all the little pieces safe and sound. Especially the dot for the eye is important. Yes, and now I'm gonna glue all these pieces together to stack it up. And you can see the little dots are still in the box there. Now this part I hate. Well, hate maybe a strong word for it, but it's really annoying. This die, well, it didn't want to play. Let's just leave it at that. It kept running around on me when I was putting the other layers on it. But the more layers you put together, the more stable the piece gets, and then it gets easier. It's just the first few layers that are tricky, because the paper is thin and bendy. And then the eyes, or the dots, that is. Such fiddly work. But there's just something about an eye without a dot. I remember reading somewhere that once upon a time there were 3 or 4 different dots, or they had different names for the eye. That's why it has its own name and isn't just called a dot. It's got a technical term. But luckily today you don't have to distinguish between a line one direction, the other direction, or if it's round, or, well, you get my point, I guess. Now I'm gonna mount the macaroons with some foam tape. Just for a bit of dimension, added interest. So, and you can see the bow and the little ribbon I put on the dress now. The purple is a bit off from the one in the background, but I don't mind actually. I think it's still very nice. Sorry, me and the classical music, you know, it's just nice. For some odd, maybe not an odd reason, it makes my brain relax because I don't have to follow the lyrics. And I do that even if the singing is in a language I don't understand. So, to the side here I have some peel-offs stating different things which you would use on a confirmation card. I have the congratulations with the die, and then I'm gonna add with your confirmation. Now that's only 2 words in Danish. We don't use the pronoun in this case as you do in English. Now it's just getting the last few things on the card. I do think this card turned out really well. Really, really well. I really like it. Unfortunately, I don't know any girls who's getting confirmed this year. I have a cousin who will be making the vow in a few years, but I guess I'll make her a card, a very personal card when it comes to it. So I guess I have to go find someone who is going to a confirmation who can use this card this year. Or next year, but preferably this year. And this is the card actually. Just have to get the confirmation words straight. I hope you like the card. There's one more card with the stamp set coming up. So remember to subscribe so you'll be notified about it.